The Duke of Lancaster's regiment soldiers arrived in Poland 5 days ago. The training with the American 12th Airborne Cavalry is about working with Britain's closest ally. It's a partnership that has developed in Iraq and Afghanistan, but this is different.
This is has more of an expeditionary feel to it than something like a deployment to Iraq or Afghanistan. We've come out at fairly short notice, fairly light scales, and it's something that, as a battalion, as a light role battalion, we're getting used to. We've had companies deploying exercise this year to France, Estonia, now to Poland, and really sort of being able to operate and live out of our Bergens, essentially, which is an old skill that we're relearning.
All of this designed to reassure NATO member countries that border Russia, a nation that under Vladimir Putin seems increasingly emboldened. But will the strategy work? It's a question I put to Julian Brazier, Minister for Reserves and visiting British troops here.
What this is designed to do is to show that the countries of NATO take Article 5, the commitment that an attack on one is an attack on all, seriously. This is not the only thing that's happening. We had we were participating in the air patrols, which are still taking place. Canadians and Portuguese took over for us up in the Baltic states. We've got a series of new expeditionary forces planned, including the Joint Expeditionary Force, which we'll be providing framework nation for, 5,000 soldiers, roughly half of them British, the rest from other smaller NATO members. It's all part of making it very clear to any potential aggressor that NATO is still in business and that Article 5 means what it says.
Some retired generals say that Islamic State and not the situation in Ukraine represents the biggest threat to the world. In response to suggestions that NATO and the West should mend fences with Russia and join forces against a common enemy, the minister had this to say.
We are still in touch with the Russians. We still have diplomatic contact, full ambassador level, both sides. We are continuing to talk to them on a number of issues. In particular, for example, the negotiations with Iran, where, as you rightly say, Russia shares a common concern with us. In fact, were Iran ever to develop nuclear weapons, it's a lot closer to Russia's borders.
And also Islamic State.
The Islamic State, too, is another issue where we could have a shared interest. We've had limited success in talking to the Russians on that. The progress on the chemical weapons in Syria is perhaps the one area where there's been some progress, but it's very hard to talk to a country that's behaving as the Russians are at the moment in not just in Ukraine. I mean, they've done some exercises very close to borders of a number of other countries too. So the answer is yes, we do need to keep talking, but we also need to keep exercising as well.
As a backbencher, Julian Brazier called for increased defence spending, but maintains that even on a reduced budget, Britain is still one of NATO's top contributors. For now, his big concern is that the West sends a message to Russia's government to pull back from involvement in Ukraine, a message he says that is loud and clear.
We're taking a very full range of measures, the economic measures, the exercises. It's a pretty clear theme for the NATO conference later on this week. So we're doing a great deal to put the right messages over. So far, we'll have to see what President Putin's reaction is. I hope that he'll get the message.
Rob Olver, Forces News, Northwest Poland.